So, you guys know about Prime, Logan Paul and KSI's personal drink brand? Well, it's kind of in an interesting place right now because a lawsuit was filed against Prime, alleging that they have so-called forever chemicals in the drink, that actually Prime contains more forever chemicals than anyone should ever have, and that it could pose a health risk. You might have seen the massively viral TikToks about this. Well, the only problem is there really doesn't seem to be any evidence I could find to back this up. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Logan Paul myself, but in this case, I agree with him. The lawsuit is probably BS. Logan did a pretty good takedown of the lawsuit, which we'll take a look at today. But first, I wanted to mention that as far as I can tell, the use of the term forever chemicals is probably just a tactic to make the lawsuit sound scarier to a layman, because it doesn't actually mean anything to the average Joe, but the average Joe will definitely dislike the idea of drinking something called a forever chemical. Logan starts his argument from a different angle though.
Alright, let's talk about this. First off, anyone can sue anyone at any time. That does not make the lawsuit true, and in this case, it is not.
Logan is correct about that. Anyone can sue for literally any reason. Granted, if you don't put in the smallest amount of effort to try and make it seem like your lawsuit is lawful, it'll get tossed. When I've seen this lawsuit mentioned online, it's always dealing in absolutes. Like, a study found this about the forever chemicals in Prime, and the lawsuit is based on that, which is what is making a lot of people believe that it's true. But that's a fallacy, since you've only got evidence from one side. A study presented by someone suing to prove that there are these forever chemicals in Prime, which is of course not going to be favorable to Logan Paul and Prime, but instead to the person who is suing and presented it to the court as evidence of his claims. But in the videos I've seen about it, no one knows anything about that. And it's not like science is infallible. Anyone can bend a study to find an expected result if they wanted to. Whether or not that result would have existed without the very specific circumstances chosen to produce its answer. I'm not saying that's what happened here exactly, but Logan does point out some interesting issues with the study.
This little study that was conducted by a lawyer is absolute bullshit. They're claiming that Prime has 0.06 ppt, parts per trillion. But that's interesting because the EPA says that anything under 1.1 ppt cannot be deemed as reasonably accurate, meaning they don't have the right tools or resources to even prove what they're claiming. Are you following this? It means the detection limit is 66 times more than what they're claiming we have in our drink. And that's just the detection limit. Your own state will not even take action unless it's over 40 parts per trillion. So we don't even think this information is factual.
And I mean, I find it hard to disagree with Logan there, especially since these so-called forever chemicals tend to leach from plastic. But it's not like Logan's bottling them in his backyard by hand. Prime is a massive company and uses suppliers to get their plastic bottles. And there's only so many plastic bottle production companies that exist in the world and have the capacity to make bottles for Prime, meaning he's most likely using the same plastic that's used for other drinks, since they most likely share a production facility.
There's claims that PFOS or forever chemicals come from plastic. So in this case, they're not talking about the actual drink, the liquid Prime. They're talking about the bottle that Prime is manufactured in. This ain't a rinky-dink operation. We use the top bottle manufacturers in the United States. All of your favorite beverage brands, Coke, Pepsi, Tropicana, Dr. Pepper, they use these companies.
So yeah, unlikely that if this was real, that it'd be limited to Prime. So given the lack of lawsuits against other companies that produce from the same facilities, it's probably not actually happening in my opinion. I guess it's possible that you could say that the forever chemicals came from like contaminated water or something, and so they got in from some other plastic source out in the ether somewhere before they even became Prime, but Logan disproves that as well.
But for the sake of this conversation, let's continue.
In one Prime hydration drink, they found 3 times the amount of PFOs that you should consume in drinking water in your life.
We have a very big multi-million-dollar filter that filters the water from the state. Water you drink at home, water provided by the state before we make it into Prime. If this claim about PFOs and PFAs is true, what is that saying about your state water? Then, according to their website, the Environmental Protection Agency's recommendation is using one of 3 tactics to remove as many PFOS and PFAS as possible. Activated carbon, ion exchange treatment, and reverse osmosis. Well, we do 2 out of the 3 of those to clean the state's water before it even becomes Prime.
So yeah, I mean, this isn't some random operation. It's a multinational corporation. The idea that they don't filter the water is laughable. At this point, I mean, without further evidence, I think that Logan's done a pretty good job at disproving what is being claimed against Prime. This isn't the first time that Prime's been in some controversy like this though. There was a time before when a ton of people, including a sitting US senator, said that Prime needed investigating because of its high caffeine content. That never actually materialized either, as Logan is happy to point out.
One person conducted a random study and has provided 0 evidence to substantiate any of their claims. Do y'all remember a while back when they said that the FDA was investigating Prime? It never happened. They never called us because we follow every single guideline and regulation.
I honestly think that a lot of the hysteria around Prime comes from the fact that people don't like Logan Paul. And I mean, mean, you're allowed to dislike the guy. I'm not exactly a fan after what he did in the crypto world, but that doesn't mean that we all have to believe every single negative thing that comes out about a product he's made. I honestly think that it would be insane for him to not run Prime as the most squeaky clean and above board operation, because it brings in so much money that the last thing he wants is the attention of the feds. But I mean, when a business gets as big as Prime has, there's no excuse. They make enough money that following the guidelines is pretty much a negligible cost, and one that if they were to ignore, they'd lose everything. So why would they risk that? I'm pretty sure that Logan's right this time and that there's probably nothing to this lawsuit. The real question is, what do you think? Do you think that Logan disproved the forever chemical accusations? Or are you going to stay clear of Prime for the time being? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. Remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and God bless you.